taking a stand for civil liberties on this edition of
Initial Thoughts. Initial Thoughts. Initial Thoughts.
Hey Trekkies, let's have a chat about Strange New World's second episode of its second season. Ad Astra per Aspera. Latin titles, courtroom dramas, and Trek usually go well together. While this is nowhere near Trek's best courtroom drama, it's got a lot good going for it. Mainly a lot of small things since it's, well, there's no way of getting around it, slow. I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with the pacing. I mean, this isn't Picard or Disco. But I found this episode to drag and make sure it used every little bit of footage it had on hand. Right off the bat, we're going to start with a dislike. If you've been here for a while, you know I will sin an episode nearly every time for going more than 10 minutes without getting to the opening credits. And this one really didn't have the built-in drama to warrant the extended intro time of 11 minutes. The first small thing I enjoyed that I think deserves an Emmy nomination, but at minimum gets a like from me, the wardrobe across the board is best in class in this episode. For maybe the most dress uniforms we've ever seen in an episode, period. And they all look stunning. It's probably my new favorite in the category of Starfleet formals. More than that, every single outfit we see Nara in throughout the episode is basically better than the last. Watch out, Elan of Troyes. Nara's coming for your title of best use of multiple garments across an episode. Let me get down off my tailoring soapbox, which, by the way, my new sewing YouTube channel, The Plain Simple Tailor, is launching in just a few weeks, where I'll be making all kinds of clothes, including some Star Trek stuff. Anywho, my next like is for this being an overall classic Trek formula, highlighting the plight of the downtrodden, those that are comfortably shunned in a society that's supposed to be all infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Except for the always elusive them. Even in a future where pride and prejudice are supposedly things of the past, there's still a group referred to as those people that require civil rights advocates to champion their cause. That, though, leads me to a dislike for how the whole thing wraps up. Not only is this ruling limited in scope to just Una, and does not extend to any measure of an Illyrian, though we kinda knew that would be the case for timeline consistency. Also for Una being the one to turn herself in. I get guilt. It's a thing I've dealt with fairly recently where sometimes you're your own worst enemy and you just have to say your piece even if that means hardship. But it somehow doesn't feel satisfying to me that she turned herself in and all she got out of it was absolution for herself and no other Illyrians. I also have a dislike for Nira asking for a Starfleet uniform code of justice. A lawyer with past Federation casework doesn't have a copy? Or has to ask a random lieutenant to get one for her? That seems a little off. But I do like the little nod here to Kirk's lawyer from the episode Court Martial with a love for paper books. I have another small like for possibly some of the best looks at San Francisco from multiple angles, not just a hold close on the Golden Gate. Let's end the counters with one final like for calling back to the Short Trek Q&A, where Spock and Una first meet and get stuck in a turbo lift, as he gives the snarky answer to the Jags question as a love of Gilbert and Sullivan musicals. Overall, the episode was clearly trying to pay homage to Measure of a Man, and it's got a strong moral message reminiscent of much of Trek's past. The thing is, it's unremarkable. In every way except the wardrobe, which again, if I don't see this one in the Emmys next year, I've never watched the Emmys to begin with, and after a win for Threshold, maybe the game's made up, and the points don't matter. The point is, it's good, but it's nothing we haven't seen in Trek before. While it's a salient point talking to the audience, who is this defense attorney trying to convince with vague references to Earth's past specifically? Do you think a Tellarite on a tribunal knows or cares what apartheid was? While powerful for us, the audience, it's a weird in-universe choice, and the episode itself takes a very long time to get to a very small point we were already on board with. Infinite diversity in infinite combinations. Which would mean more if an entire episode ended up affecting more than just one life. I think it's a decent episode, but it doesn't reach the top 100 heights of Measure of a Man. Speaking of which, though, do all great captains have an X in the Judge Advocate General's office? My last thought is that I feel a bit robbed of any chance of this ending tragically because we've seen trailers with Una in multiple upcoming episodes. So there was never a question of whether or not this ended well. All that being said, I'm going to give this a rough ranking against the other 800-ish episodes of Star Trek, somewhere between numbers 300 and 400. If you've enjoyed the content today, please consider a like and subscribe. Until next week, same Trek time, same Trek channel.